Guys, so I wanted to make this video here to show you how to take off a transfer case on your 98 Jeep Grand Cherokee. So there's a lot of how-tos on how to do it, but I'm just gonna make one myself and show you guys. So let me just get right to it. So to take it off, what I'm doing is I'm replacing my NP or NV actually 249 with another 249. Mine is bad, and it's been bad for a few years now, and it's just getting worse. I suspect the chain is stretched in this thing, and also I've replaced the viscous coupler in this thing about 100,000 miles ago, but the front output is just real bad on this. Can you hear that? It's just really bad. I don't know if you can see it wiggling. But it's just, it pops. The inside of the case popping. So it needs to be replaced. So in order to take it off, it's not too hard. I've done like 3 of these things now, and I've also done transfer cases for the Wagoneer and stuff. But to take it off, all you simply do is you unbolt your transmission mount right here. There's 4 bolts. I believe they are, let's see, they are 5/8. So the 4 bolts right here, that unbolts it from the cross member right in the center. Then you got to jack up your transmission or support it. So I'm just using the bottle jack that came with the Jeep with a piece of wood on the transmission pan. You got to use a piece of wood because it distributes the weight on the pan. It's not going to hurt anything by doing it, but that's what you got to do. Then you got to unbolt the front drive shaft. Now the front drive shaft uses 8mm bolts. So if you got a little 8mm wrench, use like one of these open end wrenches. That's what I use. And if you have a ratcheting one, that'll help immensely. So 4 bolts right there, 8mm. There's also 4 in the rear, 8mm as well. And the drive shaft pulls out of the tail cone of the transmission pretty easily. If you have a Grand Cherokee like mine, it has a CV joint in the front, and that doesn't pull out. You actually have to unbolt that, but once you get the cross member off, it just plops down. So drive shafts off, unbolt the transmission mount, then support the transmission, and then you got 4 bolts. You got 2 over here, 2 on that side, and they are, I believe, looking at my wrench, can't remember offhand. I believe they are 15mm. So yeah, 15mm. So those are right here, 15mm. From what I've found, the driver side ones are really easy to get off because that side is usually the side that gets splashed with oil. This side over here is the side that tends to get a little rusty. So the bolts are kind of hard to get out of these little nutserts. So be careful when you take them out to not break the nutserts in there, because then you're going to have a whole load of problems. So once that's off, then you got to disconnect the speed sensor, which is right there. I don't know if you can see it. Then you got to disconnect the linkage. Now, a lot of people will tell you to pry on the linkage right here. There's like a little rubber boot thingy that holds that. I don't recommend doing that. All you have to do is just get a, I believe, don't quote me on this, I can't remember the size, but I believe it's a 14mm bolt, and you just unbolt it from the transfer case up there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's somewhere up there. I'm on the other side, so I can't see what I'm seeing on my video. But you just unbolt it from the transfer case. It's really simple. It's just a nut and a washer. That way you don't have to damage this linkage right here by trying to pry on it. Then up on the top, and this is what people don't tell you, is there is a, let me get out of here and I'll show you what I'm talking about, so I can make it easier for you guys. On the top, and this is what people don't tell you, is there is a piece of plastic up here, and this one is broken because I just broke it from the junkyard, that holds your fuel line. There's a 10 millimeter bolt right here, and there's a 10 millimeter nut on this side. You got to lower the transmission a couple inches to get a socket wrench up here and a regular wrench down there to unbolt these. And then the plastic just removes from the transfer case, and that way you don't break it like I did from the junkyard right here. So the shift linkage, I'll show you right here in case you didn't see it. That's the 14 millimeter nut, and just unbolt that. Now from the junkyard I pried it off because I wanted to save the linkage just in case, or at least that part of the linkage. But if you're doing it to your own, just unbolt it. It's really easy. So especially if you have a swivel head. And then you got to get, everybody says 9/16, but 14 millimeter works too, unless your nuts are kind of rusty, then the 14 millimeter may not fit. So you lower it a few more inches, you start unbolting the 6 nuts that hold it to the transmission, 9/16, or 14 millimeter. And the hardest one that everybody always has problems with is that one up there where my wrench is. So I only have a 14 millimeter ratcheting and also angling wrench like this one that angles. I don't have a 9/16. So the 14 millimeter fits on some of these nuts, but some of them it doesn't because it's a really, really tight fit. That, you know, hence why it needs to be 9/16. But I managed to get the 14 millimeter on there, and the transmission is dropped as much as I want to drop it. It's probably dropped at least 3 inches, maybe 4 inches actually. I don't want to go any more than that, to be honest. If you're removing this from the junkyard, you just drop the whole thing. It doesn't matter if it hangs off like that. You're just taking the transfer case, unless you're really concerned about the transmission. But if you're in a pinch and you want to get it down quickly in the junkyard, just drop the whole thing. And you really don't need a wrench like this, and you really don't need a cut wrench either. So what some people do is they take their 9/16 wrench and they cut it like right here, so they only have like 3 inches. That way it doesn't rub on the floor right there, and you can just, to be honest, these nuts are really not that tight, so you don't need a long wrench for leverage. You know, like 2-3 inches is just enough. You can also take a rope and tie it right here and pull it, you know what I mean, to get yourself more, I guess, leverage or whatever if you have a hard time getting to that nut up there. But this type of wrench that I have where it angles and ratcheting works. So that's the last one. So that's how you take the thing off. It's pretty simple. So that, like, again, the tools you're going to need are 14 millimeter, 9/16, 15 millimeter, and 8 millimeter, and I believe that's it. And then you got to remove the one sensor plug. You got to remove the fuel line on the top. You unbolt the linkage. You don't pop it off right here. And when you slide it off, if you got a concrete floor like I do, put a blanket or something like that underneath it, or hell, put a blanket underneath it anyway. So I got these moving blankets. So when this thing slides off, it'll land on the blanket and not on the concrete and either damage the case or the concrete. To be honest, it'll probably damage the concrete more than it will the case. But so that's how you get it off. Pretty simple. I don't want to make it like a 20-minute long video, but that's how you do it. Now, the nutserts, or these little inserts that go into the transfer case, they might come out instead of the nut. That's fine. You can just screw them back in like this. So that's all you got to do. And the reason why I'm going back to a 249 and not like a 242, because I have a 5.9 ZJ, a lot of people go to a 242, is the 249 is just a much superior case. I don't know why everybody likes the 242. The 242, if you get one wheel that's spinning, and like say if it's in the air, you're basically stuck. It's like one-wheel drive. It's not really full-wheel drive. The 249 is, I guess, two-wheel drive, if that makes sense, because if one wheel spins in the front, you still have power going to the rear. The 249 is just a much better transfer case. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so I'm just sticking with what I have. I don't want to mess with like wiring or drive shafts or switching input shafts or output. I don't want to mess with any of that crap. I just want to switch the case, be done with it, and that's it. Now, the transfer case that I showed you guys over there, that one sitting over there, that one, I don't know the mileage on it. I know obviously it's a lot better than this one. It doesn't wiggle and pop or anything like that. But I don't know the mileage, and I don't know if the viscous coupler has ever been replaced. So it could have 200,000, 250,000 miles on that viscous coupler, to whereas mine only has 100,000 miles. Now, I don't have $400 for another viscous coupler, so what I'm thinking of doing is taking the cone off of here on the transfer case and swapping my viscous coupler for that one. So, 100,000 miles less probably. So most Jeeps in the junkyard I find usually have 200,000 or 300,000 miles on them. So, but anyway, let me let you guys go. That's how you take it off. Pretty simple. The only one that you're really going to have a hard time with is just the one up there. So just be careful, be slow, don't hurt yourself, and make sure this thing is supported. You don't want this thing to fall on your face. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps somebody.